Hi, I'm Maryann DiEdwardo. This year, I published a book entitled Hermeneutics, Metacognition and Writing with Vernon Press in the series in literary studies. I wrote 7 chapters and invited other scholars to join me. The book represents a theme and a focus on interpretation through writing, film, poetry, and action. This book owes much to our friends and colleagues and discourse communities. Our project grew from conversations with the contributors over the years, in addition to academic participation at conferences. Many thanks to the Northeast Modern Language Association for selecting me to chair a panel in 2019 at the Northeast MLA Annual Conference in Washington, D.C. I'm grateful to Vernon Press for their interest in my book and for publishing this book in 2020. I recently spoke about this book in Boston on March 7th and 8th of 2020. The story of the formation of hermeneutics, metacognition, and writing begins with the study of English. In 1975, I graduated summa cum laude from the Department of Arts and Architecture at Penn State University, and I received a fellowship to attend Lehigh and teach at Lehigh University. Currently, I am a writing coach in the Graduate School of Computer Science and Engineering for a course 406. This is where I initiated the hermeneutic arc to help students understand the research process. So the Center for Teaching and Learning at Lehigh University invited me to lecture, and at the 2019 symposium held at Lehigh, I presented the proposition and theme of critique as hermeneutic. Writing combines hermeneutics in action and metacognitive ideology. Investigate the social functionality of actions as a social criteria of the text. Text, respect for the history of the author of the text, and consideration of the significance of the text move forward toward the goal of praxis. Hermeneutic arcs are useful to organize and interpret information in order to prepare critiques. The intersectionality of hermeneutics, metacognition, and semiotics, as well as cultural poetics, uses cultural heritage. The takeaway initiates self-monitoring as metacognition or meta-reflection. In creating social justice praxis, we connect themes of social justice literacy with writers in writing. Social justice as a paradigm for the English classroom resounds with tension and resolution. Gandhi protested against racism in South Africa and colonial rule in India by using nonviolent resistance. A testament to the revolutionary power of nonviolence, Gandhi's approach directly influenced Martin Luther King Jr. The Kingian principles establish further study for social justice literacy. Global literacy, a multicultural study, is practical and timely. We develop information literacy skills. We use research and composing for inquiry, learning, critical thinking, and communicating in various rhetorical contexts, and develop the habit of locating, evaluating, and ethically and persuasively using primary and secondary research materials. We engage in facility with argument. Through the study of rhetoric, we anticipate the needs of various audiences, understand the basic conventions of chosen genre, and analyze and adapt to varying rhetorical situations. I also apply my concepts at the University of Maryland Global Campus, where I've been teaching since 2010. The intersectionality of hermeneutics, metacognition, and semiotics. Modern hermeneutics includes both verbal and nonverbal communications, as well as semiotics, presuppositions, and pre-understandings. Metacognitive processes focus on learning with self-discovery in hard-copied journals. Writing assignments ask us to take positions on cultural issues or questions of interpretation. Combine metacognition and hermeneutics to ask how a particular effect is achieved or why an ending seems right, but also what a particular line means and what a literary work tells us about the human condition. Critical hermeneutics is an approach to transform readers. Considering the impact that researchers make on their readers, we can change the researcher with hermeneutics, metacognition beyond texts through exploration, understanding, and appropriation. Objects are to achieve a cultural interest in the methods we use to reflect, construct, and mediate experiences in the world. In 2017, this researcher published an article titled Implementing Learning Strategies Based on Metacognition in the Journal of Modern Education Review. I present learning strategies based on thinking about thinking. The planning of writing projects centers upon activities that support preparation to act as cognitive mappers, to create new literature of the social network as new voices for global cultural revolutions. Stories that students write are the new literature for the social network and become new voices for global cultural revolutions and telescope into shorter versions of oral histories. In the next chapter, chapter 2 of the book, I talk about exegesis. And in the following chapter, I talk about social movements, Frank Bidart, Zora Neale Hurston, and Jack Kerouac. Social movements initiated by literature include the Beat generation of the 1940s and 1950s, which questioned the existence of certain societal elements identified with Jack Kerouac from a 1948 conversation with fellow Beat poet and author John Holmes. Other social movements by luminaries such as Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Flannery O'Connor, Thomas Merton, and Martin Luther King ask us to reimagine literary works as social criticism. Writers are agents of change. As such, we recognize the writing of Bonhoeffer, Merton, and Martin Luther King, as well as the journaling of Flannery O'Connor, as a daily writing practice paramount to a writer's ethic. But the powerful language and poetics of the work of Flannery O'Connor change us as we experience her inner life. The poet Frank Bidart uses narrative strategies. His works of poetry embody the flow of human emotions. The pathos appeals to emotions and feelings to persuade an audience. Bidart's dramatic monologues are an intra-personal lens into the inner pain innate in the human emotional experience. Frank Bidart was born in Bakersfield, California on May 27, 1939. His recent works include Half-Light, Collected Poems, 1965 to 2016, published in 2017. This book won the National Book Award and the Pulitzer Prize. He is a messenger of hope for us. His writing is prophetic, motivational, and steadily charges forward with exceptional and theoretical foundations. One can see the poet Frank Bidart uses mythological theory. He mindfully embraces situations of courage and despair in his conversational poetry. As part of the LGBTQIA community, Bidart inspires equality. Therefore, through a student-directed pedagogical model, with the models of Kerouac, Hurston, and Bidart, my writing classes fuse into a learning community for reflection, discovery, and peer editing for student motivation and success. I actively engage writers who possess qualities of memory based on human everyday experiences, similar to those experiences within literary works that they read. I play podcasts of sample student essays that show how students recall events or conditions based on the relationship of reading to memory. One of my students recalls her own beliefs in mercy killing and relates her heritage based on family and cultural beliefs in the right to life. Students use life story writing next to recount experiences that may help them find a thesis. We write for a global, multi-ethnic, and ageless audience. Stories can indeed reach readers. To write, we engage memories of readings, life experiences. Accordingly, these three patterns compose voice on the page. Writing is an essential life skill needed for human dignity. This chapter explores the social movements that correspond to immigration writing, rooted in immigration and imaginative travel literature. The Beat generation of Jack Kerouac, the magic realism of Zora Neale Hurston, the Odyssey, Homeric epic, and the heroic epic by J.R.R. Tolkien. I engage in qualitative research projects for the purpose of creating a peaceful mindfulness and writing of both Hurston and Kerouac, and I argue that these authors' works have roots in the nature of the Homeric epic Odyssey, which mediates on accepting the losses and inflicted life patterns. Similarly, J.R.R. Tolkien of Oxford, England, translates 4 volumes by the renowned hobbits Bilbo and Frodo Baggins, written during the Third Age of Middle-earth, far long ago than the Celtic, Germanic, and Icelandic manuscripts Professor Tolkien was using to decipher. The result was The Hobbit. By applying the hermeneutical approaches was emphasized the critique as a methodology. We intend to develop the study to include insights into Zora Neale Hurston, a visionary writer of African American culture of the 20th century, and the manner of creative thought. We also see both writers, Hurston and Kerouac, as creators of immigration as a path to self-identity. The basis for literary thought is the Odyssey and the Homeric epic. Both writers find writing as a social function to reveal truths about